Hi, I'm Steve Clemons. I run the foreign policy programs here at the New American Foundation. I'm here with Helene Cooper, who's the new White House correspondent for the New York Times. She has written an amazing book. It was a Starbucks selection of the month. It's getting rave reviews. It was one of the notable books of the year on the New York Times, called The House at Sugar Beach, In Search of a Lost African Childhood. Helene, thanks for joining us on my little YouTube comment for my blog. Helene is a pal. Let me just say one word about the book before I ask her something. I mean, when I read this book in galley form, when I was on my way to Japan, it kind of broke me up, because it starts off with Helene as this sort of spoiled, wealthy child in Liberia, a direct descendant of two of Liberia's most important founders, particularly Elijah Johnson. And you see her come to terms with the fact that her privileged status is based upon a fragility in her society, and you sort of feel Liberia rip itself apart, and her own life gets ripped apart. And it's just a remarkable story, and so I'm interested. That really affected me in ways. And is that what you were trying to convey? Is the sort of I mean, was this just a memoir? Tell us what you were trying to write when you wrote this book.
You know, when it's funny that you say that, because when I first started out writing this book, I don't think I knew what I was trying to do. I just knew that it was time. I had spent years and years as a writer writing other people's stories, and it was time that I sort of tried to confront my own. I had spent so much time after my family ran away from Liberia hiding from it, and sort of trying to put it behind me, and traveling all over the world and writing about everything except Liberia, that when everything finally broke down and I realized it was time for me to sort of confront some of the things in my own past, that time just sort of came upon me when I was in Iraq, of all places. So when I ended up sitting down and finally starting to write the book, I did it very chronologically. I started as a child, and it was almost not, I didn't plan to write the first half of the book in the voice of a child, which it really is. The voice matures as you progress through it, but it just sort of felt natural. And when I went back to sort of the memories and things that I kind of put behind me, it just kind of seemed very natural that it would be chronological, and it would follow the arc of my childhood into adulthood.
I want people to buy the book, and so I'm not going to tell you all the drama of it. But
No, you're not.
But there are some powerful scenes involving your mother, watching your uncle, who was foreign minister of Liberia, get executed, a dramatic separation, and then refinding an adopted sister, who I had the privilege of meeting when you had.
Okay, you've totally given away the.
No, I mean, I'm not. There's a lot more detail in there, but I mean, honestly, it is. When you look at the sort of world you came from, and I mean, these personal issues really are the stories of so many other people in Liberia, the stories of people in Iraq, the stories of people who've been divided and moved, and maybe even in the United States. That can you share a little bit for folks, sort of a teaser about this fascinating relationship with your sister? Sisters, I should say.
My sisters, yeah. Eunice Abul Walker was adopted by my family when I was 7 years old. When I was 7 years old, my father built a big house on the beach. I was too afraid to sleep by myself. I had my own room for the first time ever, and I was too afraid to sleep alone. And so my parents did what was very common practice in Liberia at the time. They went and they adopted me a sister. And Eunice's mother was eager to sort of turn her daughters, not that she wanted to turn her daughter over to us, but she knew her daughter would have a better chance at life at getting 3 square meals a day. Her parents were very poor. If she was with us. This is one of those things that African women routinely do, and I think it's one of those untold stories, the sort of sacrifices that African women go through and make, in particularly the emotional sacrifice that they make for their children. This is something that Eunice's mother did. So my book, The House at Sugar Beach, is the story of how Eunice and I were raised together as sisters, how we were separated after a coup in 1980, and my family ran away, leaving Eunice behind, and my decision 23 years later to go back and to try to find her.
Do you know, I've had the pleasure of meeting your mom and reading about some of the other women who are these major giant personalities in Liberia, and just fascinating. Your aunt was a kick. Do you see yourself becoming like them?
Oh my God, no. You know, they're such incredibly strong women. You know, my grandmother was strong, my mother was incredibly strong, Eunice is really strong. That to even come anywhere close to them, I think African women are the strongest women in the world, and I think they.
But you're covering Barack Obama in the White House and in Hyde Park for the New York Times. You don't think you're following them?
I'm terrified covering Barack Obama in the White House and in Hyde Park. That, you know, if I could be anything close to, if I in my life could demonstrate anywhere close to the sort of strength that they've shown, I'd be pretty happy with that.
Well, as a friend and admirer, I already think you are. So thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Steve.